Regardless of genre or critical consensus, some movies are only remembered for a single scene. Not in the "I see dead people" or "show me the money" memeable manner by which a particular moment becomes part of our common cultural shorthand. After all, those examples are still revisited and ruminated on far beyond a few select quotes. No, I'm talking about films for which all discussion begins and ends with one standout sequence. A gust of air in The 7-Year Itch, a tense chase at the heart of Bullet, the steel wire mass bisection that opens Ghost Ship. One segment that outlives its source. When I mention 1998's Wild Things, I know the first thing that comes to mind isn't going to be humid neo-noir or courtroom confessionals. It's most likely gonna be this. A pool scene that served as a masterful marketing image and an instantaneous sexual awakening for any teenager who saw it, but one that permanently drowned out any and all discourse the other 105 minutes of motion picture had coming its way. So, 25 years on, let's look back at this horny on the main quagmire of sex, lies, and swimming pools.
People aren't always what they appear to be. Don't forget that.
After two female high school students accuse their guidance counselor of sexual assault, their affluent Floridian community and a jaded detective start to buckle beneath a conspiracy so complex, even those in the know don't have a clue what's going on.
Paul!
At a glance, Wild Things is a tacky but textbook take on neo-noir conventions. We've got the backstabbing uneasiness, characters driven by self-determination and greed to act far out with the law and social decorum, femme fatales, and the men who mistake brazen sexuality for womanly weakness. Only this isn't your average self-conscious slice of cloak and dagger, lipstick and cigarettes genre worship. No, this is unapologetic, gratuitous, sun-damaged trash.
I hate you! I fucking hate you, you son of a bitch! I fucking hate you!
But it's trash with intent, intelligence, and purpose. You see, any good noir mystery is predicated on two key foundational strengths: underestimation and misdirection. The lions are mistaken for lambs, and the warped moral compass sends all who follow straight off the cliff. By covering its caviar in whipped cream and swapping $10 words for 10 a penny tittle-tattle, this film manages to Trojan horse one of the most wickedly twisted crime thrillers of its era into theatres under the veneer of cheap smut. With every salty drop of double-dealing sex and southern inhospitality, Wild Things is setting up the audience. As the narrative splinters and spirals beyond the boundaries of good taste, crucial scenes just cut to black without conclusion, creating literal plot holes and turning us once omnipotent observers into clueless, coerced accomplices. Overlooking what's important and foolishly focusing on the soapy superficiality of Kevin Bacon hanging dong and Denise Richards' bare-chested champagne shower. In a noir, there's always a rube, a patsy bound to take the fall. In Wild Things, that's us.
You stupid.
It isn't until the baby oil gets washed away by blood and the seedy sex turns to amateur tooth extraction that we realise these sordid aesthetics and Skinamax sensibilities are the ruse and we're the mark. Left to leave the theatre outfoxed and outplayed, having fallen for those two damned things we already knew about going in.
They were acting! They were all acting! We bought it hook, line, and sinker!
Wild Things' hybridization of hypothalamus tickling debauchery and frontal lobe thinking was very much a result of the transitional time unto which it was released. From the 1980s onwards, a sure way to rally a crowd around adult-oriented dramas was by courting the coital. hence the erotic thriller boom. By the dawn of the new millennium, it was far easier to see butts, boobs, and big ol' hogs from home, thanks to premium cable networks and a loosening of MPA regulations around nudity. So, big twists and water cooler moments became a new driving force in promoting mid-budget adult dramas.
Good guess.
The tug-of-war between the tawdry and contemporary is something that director John McNaughton manages with an uncanny ability to disguise platinum as pewter and find ugliness in elegance.
You skanky bitch!
Palatial estates give way to the ever-encroaching wilderness. Old money is usurped by youthful appetites. Comfort breeds complacency while the disenfranchised exploit their ignorance, and for every high and dry debutante, there's an alligator waiting to pull you screaming into the swamp. Much like pop art luminaries Hamilton, Lichtenstein and Warhol, or dirtbag auteurs John Waters and Greg Araki, McNaughton delights in distorting and destabilizing the boundaries between high art and low art.
Don't.
While McNaughton's career is light on stone-cold classics, both Wild Things and his earlier deconstructionist horror Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer utilise gratuitous sex and sickening violence respectively as a maximalist response to genre expectations. Oh, so you want murder? I'm gonna give you so much and with such grueling detachment that it'll break your spirit. Do you want preposterous plot developments and nudity? Well, how about I cram so much in here that it'll actually spill out into the end credits?
It worked just like you said.
Releasing the same year that the Clinton-Lewinsky scandal had proven even the highest office in the world wasn't immune to tabloid titillation, this feels like a concerted effort to kick over the barriers between polite society and the lurid affairs we carry on behind closed doors. After all, if the leader of the free world can be out here throwing ropes in the Oval Office, why can't steamy obscenity be used as a vehicle for intellectually stimulating entertainment?
Yeah, well, we're here, aren't we?
Another way in which McNaughton shines a UV light over the condescending scrutiny levelled against so-called low art is with Wild Things' unbridled contempt for upper-crust classism and elitist institutions in general. Wealthy lawyers are nonplussed by graphic recollections of sexual violence, but repulsed to the point of quivering intimidation by simply observing working-class life. Mrs. Van Ryan is mildly upset by her daughter's rape, but appalled by the fact it happened in a poorer neighbourhood.
My daughter does not get raped in Blue Bay!
And at one point, Kelly goes so far as to commit premeditated murder, only to cry out,
My mom would kill me if she knew I took the rover.
what appears on the surface to be just the kind of homogenized fluff calculated specifically to court gated community wine moms and dude bros tucking their boners into their belts whenever a woman exhibits sexual autonomy is actually a venomous kiss-off to that same superficiality.
Fuck off.
Wealth here is a weapon that backfires on whoever attempts to wield it, and every lecherous man is hung, drawn and quartered for their misdeeds. In the end, the victors are the earnest, empathetic, and salt-of-the-earth exploited folks who turn their harsh lives into an adaptive armor.
Am I getting through on any of this? You think this is just about money? About us looking stupid?
It's a blend of uncouth truth and Vaseline-smeared unreality that places Wild Things alongside the works of low-brow high-art rogues like Paul Verhoeven and Harmony Korine. And therein lies the rub. In keeping with the minds behind Showgirls and Kids, McNaughton and screenwriter Steven Peters occasionally fly too close to the sun with their subversions, provocations, and missed opportunities.
The way I see it, Tommy, is that everybody's got to eat some shit sometime.
The inciting incident and the entwined narratives that branch out from that point are so inherently tactless and nasty that I can't blame anyone for walking away with a sour taste in their mouth. When the main crux of your first act is a false rape accusation made by two teenage girls against a white adult man in a position of power, I can't help but hear the not all men losers cheering in the middle distance as their misogynistic biases are crudely confirmed.
God damn it!
All these years on, and in a post-Me Too world where representation and media literacy have become even more pronounced and important, there's no way around the skin-crawling implications of this plot point. Wild Things also pulls its punches when it comes to its heteronormative representation of queer sexuality. You'll have no doubt noticed that the pipe-laying in and outs here come in three distinct flavours. 1. Straight-laced midnight organ fight, 2. In the court of the threesome king, and 3. Eclectic ladyland. With heterosexuality, bisexuality, and polyamory covered and subject to the male gaze, what's here for the wang aficionados? Well, even though the final act is clearly leaning into an explicitly homoerotic direction, the film course corrects to the status quo rather than staying the path of representational randy trash. And for that we can blame Matt Dillon, who demanded his character remain straight right through to the bitter end, and the film's financiers, who intervened to prevent the shooting of scenes or dialogue that would clarify and confirm that Sam Lombardo and Sergeant Duquette are and were always intended to be revealed as lovers.
That's one of the first things I noticed about you, Sam. You like to cruise.
This omission is a hypocritical kowtow to the same prim and proper folks the rest of the movie so gleefully kicks against, and a concession made for the benefit of those that the rest of Wild Things holds in groaning contempt.
I couldn't talk him out of it.
Despite its few marshland missteps and a couple of inelegant edges, 25 years on, Wild Things stands as a sexy singular work. An overlooked and undervalued classic of contemporary noir, not since Body Heat has such sharp-tongued and shameless sleaze sunk its teeth into the Floridian pulse.
You're good, you know that?
With its softcore exterior and enough convoluted threads to make Primer look like a few lads dicking about in a garage, this is a gaudy trap of ferocious intellect and savvy subversion. So sure, you may arrive at Wild Things for the allure of this one seductive swim, but it won't be long before you're wading through one of the most unique and underrated enigmas of the 90s. A scintillating slice of Kevin Bacon for our Patreon producers, Jennifer C, Claire MD, Becky O, Hales and Rue, Historically Dumb, Scared Confusion, Jake R, and Nicholas Le Revere, and a swampy mattress mambo for all these amazing folks who support us over on Patreon. So what are your memories of Wild Things, and what other films do you think get unnecessarily overlooked for daring to be sexy as hell? Let us know your thoughts on the film or anything else down in the comments. Like, share and subscribe, and if you're in a position to do so, consider checking out our Patreon to get your name in the credits, sign up to our film club, and join our private Discord. As always, thank you for watching. Until next time, this is In Frame Out.